And just to emphasise again that I'm happy and keen to do what I can, but primarily I'm wanting to show some ideas.
Okay.
And for the record, is it okay to video this for future teaching?
It is, yeah.
Thank you for that. Tell us about some things you've been up to, apart from late night drinking, that have been enjoyable.
I've been gardening. I went for a walk around the golf course the other day in the morning. That was lovely. It's actually, nobody was there. It was foggy. Oh, the gardeners were there, but it was getting, well, it's always green, but the bits that aren't green were sort of greener, and it's not flat, so it was up and down, and there's ducks and geese, and you know, it's really interesting because you just look at a different vantage and it looks different. So that was good, and I was all on my own, so I was lost in my own thoughts. Yeah, it was foggy. I was kind of a bit disappointed with the fog because I wanted to see, but it was good all the same, and crisp.
Crisp?
Yes.
Something about that? You like that crispness?
Wasn't my chosen, but I was warm enough to not notice it, and by the end of the walk, because I usually do a round, I can do a longer round if I want, but it takes a fair sort of walk to get round that on the buggy track, because it's concreted, and say hello to the gardeners as I pass, and they're doing their business, and yeah, it was nice. So by the end of the walk I was pretty warm, and it was good. I had to sit on the back porch and cool down, and you know, got myself a drink and just sat there, and it was a can of Coke. I wasn't into the champagne or anything that early in the morning. But
yeah. I think you need to wait until at least 10 a.m. before you get into the
I reckon,
champagne.
yeah. Maybe 11. But
maybe 11.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you said you had something in your shoulder or your back or somewhere that's been troubling you?
Yeah, I've always had a kind of a stiff neck, or when I say always meaning from time to time. Since my 20s probably, I'd just sort of get some kind of tightness around my shoulders, and I feel like I'm kind of a bit knotty up here, and I remember when I was pregnant, I had some back pain, and I had some massage at that time to sort of unknot it, if you like, and I didn't know at the time whether or not it would, my back sang. It was just wonderful. It just felt, the first time, it just sort of felt like it was, you know, floating, and it was just wonderful. But I'd see somebody different each time I went, and some of them were really sort of hard and firm, and the other ones felt like they were doing nothing at all, but it never was really sort of...
as good as that first time?
No, as good as the first time. And then Christmas came and I didn't go over that period, and it just went away, so I thought that's good. But in the last couple of years I've had some, it's kind of like a pain just there on my shoulder, and sometimes it goes up to my neck, but mainly it's just, I don't really think about it unless it's sort of just set into that little niche, and then it might free itself. But the last year it's kind of been more in that niche. So I thought, well, I went to the doctor, and that's when I went about my hands, you see, and he said we had some x-rays and it didn't show anything like osteo or anything like that, so that was good news. So I figured, oh, maybe I have to do some exercise and actually free it up. But it's kind of like, that's my head talking, my heart's not in it yet. I've got to work up to that one.
Exercise sounds like hard work, like...
Oh yeah, that's what I think. I'm a bit of a couch potato, so exercise doesn't sound like something I really just want to rush out and do.
I wonder whether you thought of some massage, given that helped you back.
I could. I've only just recently actually gone to see the doctor, so I'm at liberty to. It's been bothering me for that long that I'm at liberty to tune into that. as a kind of thing to do, but massage might be a good start to actually free myself up. That might be enough. Who knows?
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah.
If you were to look at the situation at the moment, do you have some discomfort at this moment?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. And if you were to make some kind of guess at just how intense that is, on a scale from 0 to 10, where 0 is nothing, like there's just nothing there, like your right shoulder, or your left foot or something, and 10 is like as intense as you could imagine.
Yeah.
How would you scale it?
Well, when I think of the 10 as, as hard as you can imagine, it would probably be around a 3.
3.
It's kind of a,
Okay.
it's kind of just there all the time, but, I don't have to necessarily pay attention to it.
That's right. All right. Yeah. And if you were to, again, look at the sensations and make a guess about how much it's bothering them. Where, independent of how severe or how intense it is, 0 would be it's very intense or not, and it's not bothering me at all. And 10 would be no matter how, independent of the intensity. It's just so irritating.
It's probably a 1, because as long as I'm busy, if I'm busy, that's fine. And I find it at night time sometimes it's a bother, because I'm aware, especially if I'm not sleeping.
Okay.
So, and I tend to get out of bed now and I feel stiff, so I don't like that.
Okay.
I feel like my body's older than I'm ready to accept, but maybe it's as old as we have to coordinate.
You hadn't reminded me of that.
Oh, okay. Sorry. How's your back feel?
Not my back. It's
Not your back.
It's
No.
more general than that. It's
Oh, okay. Just the whole kit and caboodle. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So the intensity is about a 3 and the botheredness is about a 1.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So can we see what happens if we do some hypnotic work? See whether that might. You know and I know that we can't be sure about anything. About just how quickly that can start to alter. Just in what way it can begin to change. And when David was here the other time, I was talking about going into the sensations. But there might be another way that you could explore as well as that, or instead of that. And just finding your own way into hypnosis.
Okay.
Can be like going for that walk. Can be like settling into the rhythm of walking. Even though that mist didn't allow you to see everything that you might want to have seen. There may have been some things that were there that you even knew were there, even if you couldn't see them. That you missed seeing them because there was something in the way until you did see them. And then when you did, then you knew that you could. And I'm wondering if it might be okay for me to lift your left hand. Would that be all right? And perhaps shift your elbow a little. Would that be okay? And it may be that as this is happening, there may be something that you could begin to notice about your breathing. about your experience of breathing, about the sensations of breathing, that in many situations you wouldn't be bothered to even notice that you are, because you busy yourself with other things. And you don't really need to pay attention to the sensations of breathing during the day, during the night. The sensations can be there, but you don't need to notice them at all. And on that walking, the short walk or the long walk, and sometimes a clear walk, and sometimes a misty walk, sometimes a cold walk, other times a warm walk. And even though the pathway is hard, it can be easy for you to not pay attention to that walkway that's stiff as concrete. But you don't need to attend to it, even though you could. You can just enjoy the sensations of walking. And I wonder if you could imagine, on the one hand, the feeling of having your back massaged that time, that first time, when the massage wasn't overly hard and wasn't nothing, but there was somehow just the right degree of connection. And imagine, and it might be part of remembering, the feeling of having your back massaged, but this time imagine that somehow that massage spreads upwards to your right shoulder, the muscles from your right shoulder up to your neck, muscles of your neck, so that there is that sense of almost like a floating feeling. It can feel so good. And also I wonder if you could imagine, just imagine that you could be somewhere outside of your body while that massage was happening. And if you could look at the contours of your back, of your shoulders, of your neck, and as you looked at the contours of your shoulders and your neck and your back, if you could imagine that somehow you could see as if in some way a kind of mist could lift and you could see areas of comfort and some areas that are not so comfortable. And I wonder, This might seem a really strange thing to say, but to imagine that the comfortable areas with this vision could be green. And the areas in the contour of your back and your shoulders and your neck that are not so comfortable could be less green. Does that seem a weird thing to imagine? Maybe it's not, green is not the right colour. It might be pink or a kind of some warm colour might be nicer, I don't know. But somehow green came into my thoughts. Can you imagine looking at your back like that?
Mm.
What colour do you see the comfort is?
Green was...
Green?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. And could you imagine then that somehow as this massage is happening, or as whatever else is happening, who knows, it doesn't really matter, but somehow the green starts to spread. So that the areas that weren't as green start to become greener. Could you imagine that? And that over time, that greenness could spread into and cover that whole area. So it was all very fresh, lush kind of green. Very comfortable. Can you imagine? There's a slight smile when I say that.
Mm.
You enjoying that?
Mm.
Mm. It doesn't have to happen all at once. Just like in the golf course, that greening doesn't have to happen all at once, but you can see, and even each day or each week, you could perhaps notice just a little bit more. And sometimes you might be surprised to notice a lot more. And I'm wondering what's happening with your left hand. What do you notice about the sensations in your hand?
It's kind of a bit numb.
A bit numb? Mm-hmm.
Well, it's kind of not really there much either.
Yeah. It looks paler than your right hand.
Mm-hmm.
And to my touch, I think it feels a little cooler. Now, I don't know whether that's your experience or not. But it certainly looks paler.
Mm.
But in any case, there's awareness of numbness and you're just kind of not there. You're not, it's just something you're not paying attention to.
Yeah.
Mm. And that's something that can happen when someone's asleep. And you might even, in an experience of that, have a lot of fun. It might be so pleasurable, like a pleasurable tickling that might almost make you laugh. That you could feel so comfortable that it might almost feel like that green is singing you a lullaby, or that green is somehow soothing you, or somehow inviting you. And it could be so good, it could be even hard to control those feelings sometimes. And you might feel just so almost out of controlledly comfortable. It's so funny that that can happen sometimes. And you can enjoy the numbness in your hand that was there without you needing to notice. And you could even allow that numbness to spread to any area of your body that would be useful for you without you needing to notice. And it doesn't need to happen in a moment. but it can take its own time. And I'm just interested if you could, without disturbing anything, just notice what you could be aware of around that area that you described as a 3 before. And I wonder if you can notice any alteration in that.
Well, it's actually, it does feel kind of numb.
It feels kind of numb.
And it feels kind of invisible.
It's kind of invisible?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're not there.
Mm.
The numbness is there, but you're not. Now, it's an experience, and you kind of smiled when you said that, and your eyelids are fluttering as if somehow that's a new experience for you to feel that way. Is that so?
Mm.
Mm. And there's a slight smile that lets me get an idea that maybe it's enjoyable for you?
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. Well now, I wonder if, as I put your hand down, you could notice that somehow, as I'm lowering your hand, that feeling of numbness, the feeling of you're not there, in that part, can somehow intensify. Or just be there in some way more obviously, or more naturally, or more, almost like it could kind of settle in. Like when you're gardening and you plant something. You plant it, and after a while it kind of settles in, takes root. I don't know whether it'll be more of the numbness or whether it'll be the more of the, you're just not there in that part of your awareness, or whether it'll be something else that can happen from this moment as you're learning this. Or maybe they're on and off for a while. And every now and again you might find that there is a kind of a mist that can get in the way of you really seeing the comfort that's there. But it's there nevertheless. And just as that air was brisk, actually cooler than you might have chosen, and then you found that you were warmer than you might have wanted. So it can be useful for you to not have to go too far and too fast with this, but simply to, in relation to learning this, to relax. And any time that pain tries to divert you, you can calm yourself. You really don't need very much information about what's happening, just there. For you to continue and feel more comfortable as that learning. And has there been any alteration in your experience up around your shoulder since your left hand is down?
No, it's quite well. No, really. No.
So perhaps it'd be useful for you to just play with the idea of seeing how you can let your eyes open and still have that sense of comfort. And enjoy finding a simple way of experiencing that. At any time anything tries to divert you into that, you can come back to where you want to be going with that. And what are you noticing about yourself, Joy? What's different now than when we started?
I feel like I've had a massage.
You've had a massage?
Yeah.
Ah. What is that feeling?
It's kind of warm and tingly and kind of like a radiating. Yeah, nice.
Well, it's nice to know that that memory is very accessible to you. Time sometimes seems to put a mist over our memories, but actually they are there. And you now have this memory that's even closer to you, so it's even easier for you to.
It's amazing. It's quite a number of years since I've had that massage.
Yes, but the memory is there.
Yeah.
As if it were just yesterday or today.
True.
Yeah. Memories are like that.
Yeah.
They're always fresh. Is that a place we could leave it?
I think so. Thank you.
I appreciate your willingness to kind of fly along with this. And neither you nor I know if this will be useful to you or not. But at least there's a possibility of that. That's apparent.
Thank you.